Hey, happy Thursday. Come on in, pull up a chair. The Gaming Gang Dispatch is in the air. Howdy, gang, and welcome once again to the Duct Tape Studios. I'm Jeff McAleer, your host, here at the Gaming Gang Dispatch, brought to you by, obviously enough, thegaminggang.com, of which I happen to be the founder and editor-in-chief. So welcome aboard, everyone. Tonight is Thursday, August 14th, 2025. This is live stream 1223. If you're not overly familiar with the show, let me point out, super casual around here. Just hanging out, talking about the latest in tabletop gaming news. And then usually we'll take a first look at a game. Now, it might be a board game unboxing, or we might flip through a role-playing game book. And every once in a while, I might just tackle a topic, or even just do the news and then chew the fat with folks in chat. Well, tonight, we're going to dive on in. We're going to take a first look at Outgunned Adventure from Two Little Mice and Free League Publishing. Yeah, we're going to dive on into this in just a bit. Should mention, if you are tuning in for that first look at Outgunned Adventure, probably going to be about 35, maybe 40 minutes before we get to that, because we always tackle the tabletop gaming news first around these parts. So if you're hanging out live, kick back, relax, enjoy yourself. Take it easy. Now, if you happen to be watching this after the stream ends, possibly on Memorex, keep in mind, you will find timestamps. So if you don't want to check out the tabletop gaming news, and I don't know why you wouldn't, but if you don't want to, you'll be able to jump ahead, get right on into that first look. Now, you will find those timestamps in the show notes, and depending on the device you might be watching this on, it could be right there in the timeline of the video. Of course, when you're not watching videos on the Gaming Gang channel, be sure to visit gaminggang.com for our latest in tabletop gaming news, reviews, and a whole lot more you are not going to find here on YouTube. You know the drill. Get your geek on at thegaminggang.com. And then, of course, because this is a live show, there is chat available. You must be a subscriber to the channel for at least an hour before you can take part in chat. It's one of the ways I keep some of the more unusual commenters at bay. But if you happen to be a subscriber and have been for at least 60 minutes and you want to say howdy, maybe you got a question, a comment, by all means, chime in. I will do my absolute best to respond. First out the gate tonight is Semper Buffo. Sean O'Donnell's with us. Tessie Trekkie is also joining us, as is W Forge, Keith Ulu, Wallona's Cave, and R Dubs. I believe R Dubs, it is a first-time visit in chat. So welcome aboard. Make yourself comfortable. They said, looking forward to this. Been thinking about using this to make a scenario for their dad's 75th birthday. He loves Indiana Jones. Very cool. Well, we're going to dive on in. We will be taking a peek in just a bit. So let's get things started. Let's jump right on into the news, because Free League Publishing has released the Coriolis, the Great Dark Core rulebook. I've got the skinny. The star portals are dead. Ship City is dying. But there is still hope. You're explorers in a dangerous world. You do the work few others will. The enigmatic ruins of the Great Dark are shunned by most, but not by you. You seek them out to delve into their shadowy depths and uncover their secrets. The Blight, the cataclysmic scourge that spreads from the ruins, is your beacon. Where there is blight, there are artifacts to find and mysteries to solve. Ship City is fading, but you and your fellow explorers can find a way to a better future. So don your Delver suit, step aboard a mighty great ship, and venture down the slipstream toward the unknown. Your creed, explore or perish. Inspired by 19th century expeditions, deep-sea diving, and pulp archaeology, Coriolis the Great Dark is a role-playing game about exploration and intrigue. Join dangerous expeditions, navigate the Byzantine schemes of Ship City, and hunt for the keys that unlock the mystery of this lost horizon. The book features rules for creating your crew of explorers, with upgrades such as talents, vehicles, and crew maneuvers to enhance campaign play. Rules for delving into the unknown, traveling on great ships through the dangerous slipstream, and trekking across wild planets. There's a detailed gazetteer of the Lost Horizon, the 11 systems of the Charted Sphere, and the asteroid metropolis of Ship City. There's the Black Ziggurat, an introductory adventure that will take you deep into an ancient ruin on a distant moon. There's also tools and rules for solitaire play, making it possible to explore the Lost Horizon all by yourself. This 308-page hardcover with PDF is available now. Carries an MSRP of $49.99. You really do have to make sure you order from Free League Publishing to get that free PDF. I think some retailers might provide you with a code inside the book. Some may not. So save yourself the hassle. Make sure you get it from Free League Publishing. But if you do that, it's normally a couple of bucks, sometimes $3, $4 more than the MSRP, simply because of exchange rate. But you do get that PDF and you get it immediately. Of course, if you want to just grab the PDF, you can do so over at DriveThruRPG for $24.99. And if you somehow missed it, I already reviewed the Great Dark Horror Rulebook for Coriolis. If you're curious what I thought about it, you might want to take a look at that video. I'm not giving anything away. Sarah D is also with us, the lovely and talented Miss Sarah D. I believe she is our active chat moderator right now. So be careful. Behave. Otherwise, she's going to bust out that glittery banhammer. And that glitter will never come out. Ever. Sweet. Very nice. I guess this release was delayed by a day or two, because I could have swore this was supposed to be out the 12th. And then it was this morning that Free League Publishing announced that it was now available as of today. So the PDF was not available over at DriveThruRPG until today as well. So a lot of big tabletop role-playing game news today. This is just the tip of the iceberg. Continuing to move along the iceberg, Brotherwise Games will be releasing a slew of Cosmere role-playing game titles in October, including one item which was not included in the Kickstarter that funded the game, a Stormlight starter set. Here's what I know about that. Gather your crew and venture into the Shattered Plains. The Stormlight starter set contains everything you need to begin playing the Cosmere role-playing game. Everything in this set is designed to introduce new game masters to the Cosmere RPG and new players to the Stormlight campaign setting. This box will contain starter rules, a condensed 60-page rulebook for the Stormlight campaign setting in the Cosmere role-playing game. You can start a session with Bridge 9, a 48-page adventure for first-level characters. It includes battle maps and tokens for every character and creature in Bridge 9. You'll also find 6 pre-generated character sheets and 6 initiative cards to make GMing easier, as well as 6 standard role-playing game dice, plus a custom plot die. I wonder what that does. The starter set is going to carry an MSRP of $24.99, one of the lowest priced starter sets we have seen in a while. It is going to arrive in stores on October 29th. Well. I have to say, there is an impressive amount of content for this Cosmere role-playing game. There really is. I do have to chuckle a little bit because when Elliot and I were at Gen Con, they were also releasing the Mistborn deck building game. And Elliot and I were over. Elliot kept hemming and hawing about, oh, should I get it? I really want to get it because he's a big Brandon Sanderson fan. I think he's read. I don't think he's listened to the audiobooks. I think he's read the Mistborn series. And I think part of the Stormlight archives or whatever it happens to be called. So we walked over there and the line was just crazy. And we had to get over to an interview within like 15 minutes. And I said, I don't think we can pull this off. So then when I went and stood in line for a little bit to say hello to Kelsey Dion of Shadow Dark fame, Elliot said, hey, you know what? I'm going to run back over there and see how long the line is. Weirdly enough, he walked right up, got it. Now, he said he thought maybe he accidentally cut the line, but he said he was kind of looking, he didn't really look like there was a line anymore. So I have not checked it out yet. I assume next time Elliot gets together with the gang to play some board games, he will bring that with and we'll get to check it out. But we are not talking about the Mistborn deck building game. We're talking about the Cosmere role-playing game. Like I said, I'm impressed by the amount of content. There's the player book. There's like a world book, which my assumption is that's the GM's guide. There's some adventures. There's quite a bit that's out there in PDF as well. Plus, his starter set, which is going to arrive in October. I believe all the physical releases are hitting stores October 29th. So keep your eyes peeled for that. I'll probably share some more news about this too. DB is with us in chat. Kathy Evans has popped on in. Captain Finity, Time Travel Police, Kunfasa, and our good friend of the show, the Madman, is tuning on in. Let's keep moving along with the news. There is a relatively quick Humble Bundle which launched, which features any award-winning and nominated role-playing games of the past. And I've got the deets on the deal. Celebrate the Any Awards with hot tabletop role-playing games. Celebrate the 2025 Any Awards with a bundle of award-winning and nominated tabletop RPGs. Good old Humble Bundle has teamed up with industry-leading publishers, including Renegade Game Studios, Free League, and Green Ronin to curate a library of awesome mainline campaigns and auxiliary materials. Play the very best games on the market, like Vampire the Masquerade. Yeah, okay. Maybe not necessarily the 5th edition. Call of Cthulhu, yay! The Fall of Delta Green, yay! Dungeon Crawl Classics, yay! And more. Dip a toe or two into a new role-playing game and add the coolest titles in your games collection. And you can pay what you want, and by doing so, you're going to help support Extra Life with your purchase. Now, you can jump aboard for... Why did that just pop up? I tell you, I double-checked these two. What the hell? Jump aboard for as little as $5, or you can go all in for a minimum donation of $25. You'll be able to score all 27 PDFs, which are on offer, and these savings will run through August 21st. So how about that? Yes. So pretty cool. Very, very cool. All right, I think I just got rid of the correct. Yes. Okay. There you go. So we've got core books of Dragon Age. There is, I think it's like a lightweight Vampire the Masquerade. Of course, we also have the Fall of Delta Green. Now, there are a bunch of different adventures, some supplemental material. So it's not all core books. In fact, I would say it's about 25, 30% core books, and the rest are adventures and such. But hey, got some good stuff there. The One Ring, Blade Runner, the role-playing game, just those 2 books alone in PDF are more than $25. You can also add in the Fall of Delta Green. There is some Delta Green in there. In fact, I want to say Impossible Landscapes is part of it. No core books for Delta Green, which I was kind of surprised by, but there you have it. All righty then. Kevin R. Smith has popped on into chat to join us. Welcome once again. On our next news piece, Son of Oak Game Studio has released the rustic fantasy role-playing game Legend in the Mist. It is a core book which is available in PDF. They're also taking pre-orders, and here's the lowdown. Everything you need to create and play a Legend in the Mist. Legend in the Mist is a narrative-first role-playing game for players who want a fantasy role-playing experience that feels like a folktale, with heartfelt moments, exciting conflicts, and gasp-worthy character-altering consequences. I thought that was a pretty good gasp. Thank you very much. Spin a fireside tale of villagers and other unlikely heroes setting out on a quest into a greater unknown world rife with peril, magic, and mystery. Legend in the Mist is inspired by works of fiction about everyday heroes from rural communities that embark on a journey, such as The Lord of the Rings, Princess Mononoke, Wheel of Time, and even The Wind in the Willows. Unlikely heroes, you'll start off in your village or remote region and contend with everyday problems just before a darker danger looms. Scout, explore, traverse landscapes, dark or beautiful, discover ruins, or find forgotten landmarks. Camping and fellowship will allow you to set camp, train, craft items, and brew potions, and build relationships with your fellow travelers. Face unscrupulous travelers and strange creatures, and learn about their sorcerous ways and weaknesses. Discover the great world beyond, the powers that be, and the dark past that started it all. Overcome challenges through battle, magic, wits, physical feats, charm, cunning. Yeah, I've got a cunning plan, me lord. Or love, gossip, even great cooking. Anything is possible. Make hard choices that will shape you. Will you become the hero to save the realm or just a traveler passing by? The choice is yours. Now, right now, the 496-page PDF is available over at DriveThruRPG for $29.95. That is a very solid price on nearly 500 pages. Son of Oak Game Studios also taking pre-orders, as I mentioned, for the hardcover with PDF. Right now, you can get it as special price, $49, and I think it's 99 cents. Might be 95. Now, the price will increase after August 31st by $10. So keep that in mind. And this looks impressive. If you're looking to check some of this out for free, I can tell you there is a comic book. Yes, that's right. A comic book which teaches you the rules, which is available over at DriveThruRPG, absolutely free. There is also, I believe, a quick start. Once again, absolutely free. So if you're kind of curious about this, you can take a peek. Sadly, I think Son of Oak tends to, nowadays, they only send out PDFs for review. So you probably will not see this reviewed by the gaming gang unless maybe I get a PDF and Sammy checks it out. Just so you know. But I got to say, this does look very impressive. I think Kevin R. Smith just said that this is N-World's most anticipated role-playing game for 2025. Did I see that correctly? Keith Ulis says they saw a video from Bob World Builder about Legend of the Mist. Sweet. Very cool. Kun Fossa said they bought the last Humble Bundle, like 60 games. Yeah, sometimes they bust out some really sweet. They had the Dungeon Crawl Classics adventures that had pretty much all of the D&D Dungeon Crawl Classics adventures and other stuff. It was pretty wild. Oh, it was W Forge who mentioned it's N-World's most anticipated 2025 role-playing game. Keith Ula also points out Baldric has good cunning plans. Toothless has joined us, as has Chris Lundgren. Hopefully he and his wife are feeling better. They're both suffering from COVID. I heard that Buddy the Cockatiel's taking care of them. It's just the rumor I heard. I don't know. Kevin R. Smith says, no, that wasn't me. No, I went back. I see it was W Forge. And DB says, just nab the 2 free Legend of the Mist books from DriveThru. Very nice. Very nice. All right, let's finish up the news tonight because now available from Exalted Funeral in print and PDF is Zombie Brain Eaters, Suburban Decay in the USA. Here's what I know. Summer's here. Beaches, babes, hunks, and barbecues. The Hunger Body Spray is flying off the shelves in the tri-state area. A new fragrance sure to turn heads. Too bad it turns more than just heads, like people into flesh-eating zombies. Now, instead of fun in the sun, it's blood in the streets. Survive if you can, but it's not guaranteed, as the hungry dead are crawling towards you. Zombie Brain Eaters, Suburban Decay in the USA is a survival horror gauntlet tabletop role-playing game for 1 to 6 players, in which the expectation is that the character you start with may not be the character you end with. So sharpen those machetes and load up them boomsticks. It's time to send these creeps 6 feet deep. Zombie Brain Eaters Suburban Decay in the USA includes all new rules for 5 Alive role-playing and Zombie Brain Eaters, as well as a zombie survival horror gauntlet fraught with danger and peril. The 56-page digest-sized softcover with PDF carries an MSRP of $20. If you want to just score the PDF alone, you can do so for $12. Yes. This looks kind of cool. It's another Exalted Funeral release. We know it's going to be a little bit wacky, but it looks pretty solid. I think one of the designers is Brian Shutter, who, if I remember correctly, is one of the designers of Vast Grim, who I actually spoke to for a little bit at Gamehole Con last year. We were trying to kind of get on board and maybe review some of the Vast Grim stuff. Just never came about. Yes. So I was just about to ask. I was waiting for it to come back around one last time. DB is asking, did you catch that Mac and Me Pez dispenser? It's coming up. It's the 5th image. For some reason I have a little hair or something hanging around. Keithula says Brian Shutter is also the brains behind Neon Lords of the Toxic Wasteland. You know what? I thought he was, but it's weird because I talked to 2 different people. I talked to one person who was at the Vast Grim booth, And then I could have swore I talked to somebody else when I got a review copy of Neon Lords of the Toxic Wasteland. You'd have to know. Maybe I'm cracking up. So Keith Lewis says, the headshot's the only true stopper. Yes. Let's see. Who just said, oh, Captain Infinity, a plan so cunning you could put whiskers on it and call it Foxy. Okay, then. That is it for the news tonight. Of course, I was just talking about DriveThruRPG earlier. Don't forget, the Gaming Gang, thus the Dispatch, is affiliated with the One Bookshelf sites. So if you are going to go visit DriveThruRPG, Storytellers Vault, Dungeon Masters Guild, Wargame Vault, any of those One Bookshelf sites, please stop by thegaminggang.com first. Click on one of our banner ads. That way, if you happen to make a purchase, I get 5% of that sale, and it all adds up and really does keep the gaminggang.com website around. Also, if you like the video, if you dig the channel, if you find the Gaming Gang to be a valuable resource, hell, if you just like what we do, you can actually support the outlet in a couple of ways. First, by way of a one-time donation through PayPal. Hell, you can buy me a 2-liter bottle of soda. Lovely. Or you can become a monthly member of our Patreon. And of course, there are links to those down in the show notes. Also, down in those show notes, you're going to find an invite link to our Discord server. So be sure to hang with the gang over on Discord. Also, every live stream, I like to give a shout out to our Patreon members. So big thank you to our $5 tier, Gustavo Cavalho, Jason Lahman, Caval, Kevin R. Smith, Sean O'Donnell, and Talzak. We've got our $10 member tier, Matt W., Dan Webb, GameCat, Pete Strakulich, RPG Munch, Tessie Trekkie, and Tier 2 DM, as well as our $25 tier, Agile Monk, and the Madman. Tips of the cap to all of you folks out there. Thank you very much. DB says, never mind, they already got the free books. It wouldn't help the Gaming Gang anyway, unless you purchase something within the next week. Because what will happen is you will get a cookie on your computer, which will have the affiliate code. So if you were to visit any of the One Bookshelf sites the next day, 3 days later, what have you, that affiliate code would still count. I don't think a lot of people actually realize that. Keith Lewis says, Carrie Fisher once said, you're not famous until you're a Pez dispenser. Well, that's cool. I have not heard that quote before. All right, so we're going to be diving on in. We're going to be taking a look at Outgunned Adventure in just a few moments. Before we do, you might remember I was talking about how a package had been sent from the UK. It got here to my town, and then I guess the address was wrong, and it started winging its way right back. I found out who it was from because I actually posted on social media about that because I figured somebody would chime in that it was more than likely that whoever sent it also follows me on social media. So it turns out it is my pal Glyn Seal from Blood Monkey Design and Publishing is what I think it's now called. And he was sending me, I think, some new Midderlands releases or some stuff that he'd worked on. Sadly enough, it's on its way back. So hopefully Glenn will send it once again. But I mean, I would understand if he doesn't, because, it's not cheap to send stuff. And weirdly enough, the only description I found, it said small packets. So I was thinking it might have been some sort of like card game or something, but nope, it was stuff from Blood Monkey Design and Publishing. So fingers crossed, Glenn sends it once again. But the mystery is solved. I at least now know who had sent the package and did not. I guess the shipping address was incomplete. DB says they once made a shirt of themselves pointing up with the caption, "I'm with him." Gangbusters BX is with us in chat once again. Welcome back. All right. So as I mentioned, we're going to be diving on in and taking a look at Outgunned Adventure in just a few moments. But first, I think it's time for a brief intermission. After you get that little thing that, why do I always forget to do that? I'm so busy yapping and carrying on. That's exactly why.
It's intermission time, folks. Time out for a delicious snack in our sparkling refreshment building. Every item a fresh, appetizing taste treat.
Hello. You know, when you fix an Italian food, everything has got to be just perfect. Especially when you're making a pizza. I'm going to show you. Looks good? You betcha my life. And it's delicious. That's a pizza you get at the theater. So hurry up. Get yourself some.
New from Lego. Indiana Jones, the great adventure hero. Can he get out of the collapsing temple? Survive the secret traps? And the giant boulder? It's in your hands to help Indiana Jones. Prepare the getaway and bring home the treasure. You control the adventure. With the new Lego Indiana Jones collection.
Oh, buy us, oh, buy us, oh, buy us, we beg. For if you don't buy us, we'll bite you in the leg.
Now, hold on. What kind of an attitude is that?
So buy us at once a bundle of charms.
And if you don't buy us, we'll break both your arms.
Okay, that's enough. Friends, buy the ideal Muppets. The kids will be screaming for them.
Into the strange and wild interior of darkest Africa, Metro-Goldwyn-Mayer sent a motion picture company on safari. Here in its original setting, where no white woman had ever been before, was filmed the story of primitive savagery, of incredible danger. You'll thrill to the magnificent love story of the flaming redhead and the handsome jungle adventurer. as together they fight their hazardous way through a vast land of mystery and excitement in their relentless quest for the fabulous fortune that rests in King Solomon's mines.
To my knowledge, no white man has been near the Calawanas for 5 years. Nowadays, they're feared as much by the natives as they are by the whites. We're going to have trouble getting our own boys to get that far.
How long will it take us to get there?
Weeks, months perhaps, I don't know. I've never taken a woman on safari with me before.
Have I been a handicap?
The fun hasn't started yet.
When it does, I'm sure we'll all enjoy it.
What do you think you're doing? You had no intention of letting us leave this place alive. You're going to get us out of here before those fellows outside start warming up and carrying out your orders.
King Solomon's mine.
Yes, King Solomon's Mines. And of course, I did include that in our brief intermission because of the game we're looking at tonight. Obviously enough. Weirdly enough, I tried to utilize the more recent King Solomon's Mines from the 80s with Richard Chamberlain. Nope. Like, nope, copyright violation. It's like, all right. So I actually had to search around to find something. Obviously, you can't use like Raiders of the Lost Ark. I took a look to see, well, maybe The Mummy? No. So there you have it. There you have it. All right. So Lord Cost 2000 as well as Troy Cornelson have joined us in chat. Looks like chat is rocking and rolling. Troy Cornelson says the Patrick Swayze version they like. That was a little too recent. I try to keep the brief intermission stuff from prior to 2000. So, Gangbusters, BX is rocking on out. Good to see you once again. Hopefully, we'll see you next time. So tonight, we are going to be taking a look at Outgunned Adventure from Two Little Mice and Free League Publishing. This 260-page hardcover carries an MSRP of $49.99. You'll get the PDF absolutely free if you order from Free League Publishing. If you want to just get the PDF alone, you can do so for $19.99 over at DriveThruRPG. Having said all that, let's swing on over to the other camera because here I've got Outgunned Adventure. A few things to mention before we get stuck in. First of all, my friends at Free League Publishing were kind enough to provide me with this review copy, but neither I nor anyone else affiliated with the Gaming Gang has received any other sort of compensation for me to share this first look with you. It's important you know that. We're also not going to look at each and every page of the book. I do want to give you a really good feel for what you're going to find inside. Now, you might recall I have already reviewed Outgunned, which I liked a ton. I thought it was really well done, especially if you were looking to bust out some big action, high action sort of full throttle role-playing games. Very, very well done. And you could do a lot worse than busting that out. So Outgunned Adventure is more focused on pulp style adventuring, where Outgunned is more of a modern style, kind of a modern era. W4 says they have Broken Compass, so they don't feel compelled to buy this game. All right, well, then we'll see you next time, W4. Thanks for stopping on in. Mark Hawkswell has popped on in the chat with us, too. So Captain Infinity says, Raiders of the Lost copyright infringement. I have to laugh because I posted an image from the book on social media because I try to use something other than just the book cover. And it is like a female Indiana Jones punching out a Nazi, and you can see part of the swastika on their sleeve. And I couldn't post it on X. I was like, oh, I guess X doesn't like seeing images of Nazis getting punched. It's like, Kunfaz is asking, what's making Outgunned so popular? It's a very easy system to wrap your head around. It is very well presented. Artwork is really nice throughout. It's just really, really well done. So, and I'm going to take a guess. Adventure is going to be the same way. I am curious if we're going to see the action flicks, the little supplemental. Well, I mean, they're not little because I think they clock in at about 200 pages, but they each have like 10 different genres in them. I wonder if we're going to see those as physical books. I would definitely love to. So let's take a peek at the back here. The world out there is full of unexplored jungles, lost pyramids, and cursed temples that are just waiting for an unprepared explorer to slip up. Collapsing floors, creaky bridges, poison darts, fire jets, and rolling boulders. You can expect all that and even more. But if I know you, and I've seen my fair share of people like you, a few obstacles and a handful of deadly traps won't be enough to stop you. So get up now on your feet, pick your bag and grab your hat. Oh, I'm sorry, it should say pack your bag and grab your hat. Adventure is back. Outgunned Adventure is a pulp adventure game inspired by the classics of the genre, from Indiana Jones to The Mummy. In Outgunned Adventure, the players take on the role of brave adventurers in search of an invaluable treasure. Adventure is the first genre book in the Outgunned line. You can play it either standalone or as an expansion to Outgunned. Very nice. First thing we're going to do, going to take a peek at the credits page. These are the fine folks who worked very hard to bring this to life. I like that art there. Almost looks like a Confederate soldiers. I know it's not, but I mean, just has kind of that style to it. All right. Adventure is a pulp adventure game inspired by the classics of the genre. In Adventure, the players take on the role of brave adventurers in search of an invaluable treasure. Adventure uses a game system called Director's Cut, a set of mechanics using small pools of six-sided dice to determine the outcome of the adventurer's actions. When rolling dice, your goal is not to score the highest or lowest possible number, but to roll 2, 3, and 4 of a kind. And yes, there is a quick start for this if you would like to take a peek at Outgunned. To play adventure, you'll need some friends, some paper, pencils, and a handful of 6-sided dice. One of the players will take on the role of director and be tasked with describing the world and portraying all of the extras, supporting characters, enemies, and the rival. The others take on the roles of adventurers, men and women of action, ready to risk it all to reach the treasure before their rival. The pillars of adventure. Adventure never stops. The journey is the treasure. Mystery just around the corner. We have a historical timeline there. Now we will get our archetypes. So we've got our adventurer sheet. So we have got the daredevil, the guardian, the captain, the hunter, the heart. I think this is a new one. The star, the professor, the technician, the scoundrel. For some reason I think this might be a new one. The smuggler, the fortune seeker. Fortune seekers are the be-all and end-all of an adventure. They have a strong personal tie with the story of the treasure and often some unfinished business with the rival too. Gifted, trained, and blessed by luck, fortune seekers have everything it takes to find the treasure before it falls into the wrong hands. They have a special role. A special role simultaneously acts as your role, your trope, and your background. Mark it down in all 3 sections on your adventurer sheet. When you choose this special role, you gain 6 skill points to assign freely instead of the usual 2. Additionally, you can choose 3 feats from the list for this role. We've got our different tropes. So a trope is the archetype of your adventurer, and it allows you to get a quick look into their character and mannerisms. As in every good movie, some adventurers are wild at heart and live in close contact with nature. Others are salty dogs with seawater running through their veins. Some adventurers are cowardly lions who will try their best to hide until they finally show everyone what they're made of. Once you've settled on a role for your adventurer, you must choose one of these 15 tropes. Action archaeologist. What reminds me of a fictional character? Adventuring author, born rebel, cold and distant, cowardly lion, detestable bastard. Oh, they based the character off of me. Dreamer, flying steamroller, gentle giant, indispensable rogue, parental figure, proper gentleman or lady, reluctant hero, salty dog, wild at heart. So we also have our attributes, which will give us our pool of dice. This is going to get into some details about those various different tropes there. I think these are our feats. Yep. Feats are special talents that say something about your adventure and grant you precious advantages in some situations. When creating your adventure, you can choose 2 feats from the list offered by your role and 1 from the list for your trope. When advancing during your adventure, you will unlock new feats and get a chance to choose freely from all available feats, regardless of your role and trope. There are 42 feats, including bodyguard, chin up, fighter, gunslinger, Hawkeye, linguist. We've also got maverick, money bags, saddle up, sensible packer, skulker, subterfuge, trailblazer, too young to die. Some talk about the old TSR Indiana Jones role-playing game. Yes, that was awful. Just terrible. W. Ford says, after Professor, they thought I was going to say, and Marianne, and all the rest. How many of you remember that with Gilligan's Island, where I think after a certain point, they didn't mention the Professor and Marianne. It was just, and all the rest here on Gilligan's Isle. Right, so we get a breakdown of our feats. We have our death roulette, which is kind of interesting. So on your character sheet, you will have, it's actually like a gun chamber, a revolver. And every time you kind of cheat death, you like mark off a box. So then it makes it harder and harder for you to cheat death the next time. I got to say, I have not played Outgunned, or obviously enough, Outgunned Adventure. I would love to. I'm going to be going to Gamehole Con in October. I am going to be taking a peek if they've got anybody running Outgunned or Outgunned Adventure, because I would get a kick out of playing this. I really would. And this is one of those games where it's very, very easy for the players to wrap their heads around the mechanics of the game, because you're looking to match up 2, 3, and 4 of a kind. You're not looking to try to get like a full house. This is not Yahtzee, but you're also not trying to get, high rolls or low rolls. So rolling your dice, as No Limelight Productions is popping on in, as well as Stray Kismet. Good to see you both. I believe it's a first-time visit for No Limelight Productions. They said, I made it. Been wanting to catch you live for a few weeks now, but keep missing you. Well, welcome aboard. No Limelight Productions says this is one of the coolest tabletop role-playing game channels. It's just because of chat. All the fine folks, the gang hanging out in chat. That's what it is. DB says they're running an Outgunned version of Escape from New York in Toronto in September if I want to come up and give it a go. Hey, I've got my passport, so I wouldn't have any problem. Yes, Kevin R. Smith says, the Indiana Jones role-playing game, famous for making players fight over who gets to be Indy. Although there was an Indiana Jones role-playing game from West End Games, and I think it used their master book system of mechanics, which I got to be honest, I'm not familiar with. I never had any of those books, but I have always heard pretty good things about it. And I think some of the Indiana Jones books go for a very pretty penny as far as West End Games releases. So here we've got our rolls. We have 2 types of rolls: action rolls and reaction rolls. So action rolls are up to you. So it's when you're doing something, you're going to roll an action roll. Now, when the director tells you what is happening and how to react, the attribute and skill you must use to deal with this situation is going to be up to them. And that is a reaction roll. What's at stake? When facing a roll, there's always something on the line. Having a clear image of what's at stake allows the director to determine what the consequences of a success or failure should be. Broadly speaking, a nice success always means you reached your goal. You've done it once again. A failure, on the other hand, means things didn't really go as planned. You win some, you lose some. When you're making a roll, you must always use 1 attribute and 1 skill. Although skills are listed under the attribute they're most often paired with, you can always use any skill with any attribute. When shooting, you'll often roll nerves plus shoot, and when throwing punches, you'll roll brawn plus fight. But you can also use your imagination. To hit a goon after sneaking up behind them, you can roll crime plus fight. To find a way out while you're driving, you can roll nerves plus awareness. To make a good impression on someone with your sophisticated taste, you could roll smooth plus no. After choosing an attribute and a skill, add up to 2 scores. Total is the number of dice you must roll. To play adventure, you can use the special adventure dice, or you can just use 6-sided dice. Luck, conditions, and gear can all modify your chances of success. Add 1 die for each +1 and remove 1 for each -1. That's pretty simple there, right? So all things considered, you can never roll less than 2 dice, never more than 9 dice. So W. Forge is talking about Mercenary Spies and Private Eyes. Yes, I had that game way back in the day. Tea House 10 is with us asking if there's anyone that's still selling West End game stuff. They think the Men in Black game was one of their games, wasn't it? I don't recall. It may have been one of those master book games, to be honest. I will say now, it's been a while since I looked, but there used to be a website that had just about every single D6 Star Wars release in PDF. And to my knowledge, they had been given the A-OK from Disney to do so. So if you wanted to get the D6 Star Wars in PDF, all 50 or so different releases for it? Yeah. So we have our difficulty. So we have basic, quick and easy action or reaction. We have critical, we have extreme, and we have impossible. We also have double difficulty. When you're making an especially complex or dangerous roll, the director can choose to set a double difficulty for it. That means the roll will have difficulty equal to 2 basic, 2 critical, or 2 extreme, but never 2 impossible. Jeez. And of course, basic is 2 of a kind, critical is 3 of a kind, extreme is 4 of a kind with your dice. Talking about setting the difficulty there. Here's our successes right there. So basic is 2, critical is 3, extreme is 4, impossible success is 5, jackpot is 6 or more of a kind. And with jackpot, that player gets to take over as the director for a scene. Kind of cool. Of course, they would need to be rolling a bunch of dice. This gives us a breakdown of the success rates based on the number of dice being rolled. So we get a game example here. So as far as the core mechanics of Outgunned Adventure, it's the same as Outgunned. There's nothing different here. W. Forge is asking if anyone ever checked out the Hollow Earth Expedition. One of my first interviews I ever did at Gen Con was with somebody from the company that produced it. That was the first time I ever talked to anybody who promised to send me review copies of stuff and never did. Wasn't the last time, but it was the first time. So we got help and hindrance. So help gets you an additional die. Hindrance takes away an additional die, or I should say takes away a die. Hey, here's our little bookmark. Nice. So then we have dangerous rolls, which can cause damage. We have grit. Piling up problems. You're piloting a plane, one engine is failing, and you ended up in the middle of a blizzard. You're plummeting down a waterfall and getting shot at. You're hanging from the edge of an erupting volcano and trying not to lose the map. You know, when it rains, it pours. And when you go off to adventure, problems often pile up on top of each other. They never play fair. I don't remember this from Outgunned. When the situation gets especially dramatic or complex, the director can determine that the adventurer must make an action or reaction roll with multiple difficulty. In such cases, the director just needs to tack on plus basic, plus critical, or plus extreme to the roll difficulty. For example, a critical plus basic action roll, or a basic plus extreme reaction roll, and so on. Let's just say translating a diary requires a basic action roll. Translating that diary while someone is trying to snatch it from your hands requires a basic plus critical action roll. Jumping out of a plane during takeoff requires an extreme action roll. But jumping out while dragging an enemy along requires an extreme plus basic action roll. Neat thing is, even if the roll has more than one difficulty, you will still have to roll dice only once and try to meet both difficulties in one throw. Gotcha. So you might need to get 3 of a kind. So I would think, let's make sure I understand this. Yeah, so you need to get 3 of a kind as well as another pair on top of that. Kunfas is asking, is the Outgunned series all small books? To this point, this World of Killers as well as Outgunned are all these. I think this is a little bigger than A5. So then we got our conditions. There are 5 core conditions: tired, hurt, nervous, like a fool, distracted, scared, broken. That's more than 5. Those are core conditions. We also have uncommon conditions: relaxed, poisoned, stunned, frozen, weak. Must be a poisonous frog right there. W. Forge says they thought household were smaller books. See, and I thought household was like standard size. Like, what is it? 11 by 8.5, something like that. Here's your death roulette. Next to your conditions, there's a 6-bullet cylinder that represents the death roulette. The more this cylinder fills up with lethal bullets, the closer you are to your doom. When you're about to be left for dead, the director will let you take a spin on the death roulette. This single die roll will determine whether you survive or you have finally rolled your last. It's quite the stakes, right? So what happens here is you need to roll everything but what's been filled in. So as an example here, you already have the 1 filled in. So as long as you roll 2 or higher, you're fine. Now, something happens where you have to fill this in. Well, if you have to roll the death roulette, now you're looking at 3 to 6, and so on. If an adventurer fails her roll for the death roulette and none of the others can intervene to save them, the adventurer is left for dead. As the term suggests, an adventurer who's left for dead is not necessarily dead. It's more like taking a dramatic bow and leaving everyone heartbroken. When you're left for dead, it means you've fallen out of an airplane or down a cliff. You've plunged into the ocean, were buried by rubble, or suffered a wound that looked lethal and your friends were forced to leave you behind or run away. What I'm getting at is something happens and everyone is convinced that you couldn't possibly survive, but your body is never found. In some cases, the player might decide their adventurer is truly, unmistakably dead, but only if they feel like it would be climactic, interesting, or moving for the story. Honor to the fallen. So something else with Outgunned is the player decides if their character dies. All right, so we're getting into combat a little bit. Combat's pretty abstract. Extended rolls, opposed rolls. So opposed rolls, you're essentially looking at who's going to get the highest level of success. So you have adventurer versus director, adventurer versus adventurer versus fortune. Right now we're going to get into guns and gear. All fairly basic. A lot of this stuff is going to allow you to get an extra die when you're trying to do something that's associated with that piece of gear. Age of Adventure and off-the-shelf board game reviews have popped on in. Max Apocalypse is also with us in chat. Age of Adventure says, still on the lookout for an Outgunned one-shot to play. And awesome, you can't die either, unless you decide that's what you want to do. Off-the-shelf board game review says, I know I'm getting more and more in the minority here, but games that make it harder for the character to die are really getting less appealing to them as a GM to run. Death, where is thy sting? I can see in this situation here something like that because you are looking at a two-fisted pulp sort of action role-playing game. If this was like cosmic horror or something like that, I would also be sitting there thinking, I don't know. Come on, you got to have some risk. So we're going through some traps. This looks like this is going to be maybe this is part of our GM section here. So we have temples and traps. Truth or superstition? Before you set off on your next adventure, ask yourself this question. Is the supernatural real? So are you going to do a Raiders of the Lost Ark? Or are you going to do a 1950s King Solomon's Mines? It's going to be up to you. So DB says, Outgunned is really structured like a movie, very linear. Some people will hate that, but it can be a lot of fun. Yes, it is. Outgunned is designed as that sort of adventures that are scene driven. So one scene leads to the next and so forth. So it looks like we've got a bestiary here. And to adventure. The world out there is full of explorers in helmets leading well-funded expeditions, industrious researchers who brush grains of sand off of ruins, dastardly tomb robbers looking to get rich, and reckless tourists in search for a thrill. But you are not one of them. If you've chosen to become an adventurer, your sight is trained on the treasure, and there is no cursed temple and no deadly trap that can change your mind. So this is going to get into the treasure. So we're talking about shots and cinematic campaigns. So the shots are just one session adventures, maybe two at most. And then a cinematic campaign will be made up of shots that are tied together. I know there are a few adventures out there. One of them is, I think it's an Atlantis adventure. So we've got talking about different treasures, it looks like. The water of life. You have chosen wisely. We get the rival. Let's jump back. Hey, notice how not a swastika there. It's like, yeah, I guess they want to be able to sell this book in Germany. Although the image I talked about earlier, it did look like it was like half the swastika showing. Your rival is a ruthless individual who seeks a treasure for their own evil goals, and they could succeed if you weren't there to stop them. When they say that the treasure should not be allowed to fall into the wrong hands, the rival is exactly who they talk about. As such, the true goal of every adventurer worth their salt is not to take the treasure for themselves, but to stop the rival from taking it. Every rival worthy of the name can rely on several strong spots, but also has weak spots that the adventurers can use against them. And to paint a full picture, every rival is moved by a desire, a monomaniacal evil, or simply crazed reason why they're trying to obtain the treasure. So forces the rival private army, unlimited funding, an extraordinary individual, survivor, occult knowledge, and so forth. So we get some information about facing off against the rival. Then we've got heat. Heat is a dangerous clock that goes from 1 to 12. It tracks whether the adventurers are still in the lead or if their rival has managed to get an advantage over them. This tool is designed for cinematic campaigns and as such holds a place of honor on the travel journal. Whenever the adventurers fail to reach an objective, get delayed, or when the rival gets the upper hand, the heat rises and the director earns some dangerous heat points, which they can use to raise the stakes and make things even more complicated. I was going to say, I don't remember heat from Outgunned. And we got setting up camp. Here we've got our character advancement. I'm thinking we should see in it, I was going to say, an adventure, which is right here, Frozen Legacy. So for the players out there, you've been warned. We're going to see some. Tessie Trekkie says, this book could be sold in Germany with the hooked cross. So provided the text isn't, aren't Nazis great? You can depict the swastika. Huh. Okay. In Frozen Legacy, the adventurers must find a path through the frigid ice of Greenland to search. I was gonna make a comment about Greenland, and I'm not gonna. I'll just keep going here. To search for the legendary tomb of the Viking explorer Eric the Red, according to their patron, Professor Casper Weilock, there's a rare artifact hidden or hiding among the loot gathered by Eric the Red. All right, so is their patron going to be their rival? Is he going to be the bad guy? DB says Heat was in Outgunned. It rises as the stakes get higher. It's been a while since I reviewed Outgunned. I mean, it hasn't been like a year or anything. But yeah, when you read as many RPG books as I do, sometimes it's like, well, what mechanic was that? What mechanics does that game use? Is it a dice pool? Is D20? What was that? Max Apocalypse asks, which state is Greenland again? 52? Yep, there you go. So as you can see, we've got scenes. So it has 6 scenes and then our epilogue. Then we've got our character sheets. These are some pre-gens to use with our adventure. So here you'll see our attributes. We've got brawn, nerves, smooth, focus, and crime. And then we have 4 skills under each. So brawn, we've got endure, fight, force, stunt. Nerves has cool, drive, shoot, survival. Smooth has flirt, leadership, speech, style, and you'll notice these are filled in. So as an example, if the director called for a reaction roll using brawn and endure, you would have 3 and 3, so there would be 6 dice being rolled. Now, maybe there'd be help, maybe there'd be a hindrance, maybe there'd be gear that would come into play that could change the number of dice. But the base number of dice you'd be rolling is 6. Once again, depending on the difficulty you need to succeed, you're looking for anywhere from 2 to 4 of a kind. Now, remember, we did have 5 of a kind and 6 of a kind. Those aren't difficulty levels that the director is going to assign. It's just if a player happens to roll that, then of course something really good is going to happen. As I mentioned with the 6, the jackpot 6 of a kind, the player actually gets to take over as the director for a scene. Kind of cool. All right, so we've got our index. We got a filmography, and that is a look inside. Outgunned Adventure from Two Little Mice, as well as Free League Publishing. And of course, I will have a review of Outgunned Adventure in the not too distant future. Remember, this 260-page hardcover does carry an MSRP of $49.99. You can grab just the PDF alone for $19.99 over at DriveThruRPG. All righty. So that is it for tonight. If you're curious what is cooking for next week, on Tuesday's show, we're going to take a peek at the Cypher System Rulebook. This is the core rulebook. And I know Monty Cook Games is going to be kickstarting a new edition. It's just going to be called Cypher, but it's not going to like radically change. I understand. I think they're going to be adding like hit points or damage points or something like that, as opposed to you losing damage from your pools of your 3 attributes. So that's going to be a little different, but I think for the most part, a lot of this stuff is going to be pretty much the same. And this is actually a pretty hefty book. Really is. Then on Wednesday's show, we're going to dive on in. We're going to take a look at Fate Forge, Chronicle of Khan, which is from Mighty Boards. And then a week from today, we're going to take a look at the 2nd edition of Fantasy Age. This is the core rulebook. I've always been really curious about this. So the fine folks over at Green Ronin Publishing were kind enough to provide me with this review copy. So we're going to take a peek. I got to say, the artwork reminds me quite a bit of the 1st edition of Pathfinder. Kuhnfoss asks, is this standalone or did you need the Outgunned book? This is standalone. You can use it as a supplement for Outgunned, but it is standalone. So all of the core rules are included in this. So you do not need to pick up Outgunned if all you want is the pulp action stuff. So you've got that. All right. And then this weekend, look forward to my review of Weird Heroes of Public Access from Exalted Funeral. I will also have my Labyrinth World Book review, probably the first look video at Rock of Chickamauga from Flying Pig Games. You may recall I showed that the other day, and it's a big ass box. So we are going to be diving on in, checking all of that out. Max Apocalypse says Cypher is one of the few games I've actually gotten to play over the last several years. Off the Shelf Board Game Reviews asks, isn't this the only Outgunned from Free League as well? No. Outgunned, World of Killers, and Adventure are all being released, at least here in the United States, by way of Free League. I did talk to Tomas from Free League Publishing. If you checked out that interview, we did talk a little bit about Two Little Mice off the record. So I can't really share anything about that discussion. But there is something from Two Little Mice I was very curious if Free League Publishing was maybe going to team up with them for, and I'm not talking about that anime fantasy role-playing game that they're going to be kickstarting. Hey, speaking of Free League Publishing, I should also mention the One Ring as well as the Lord of the Rings starter sets, the new starter sets, are in transit. Now, I don't know. They're only coming from Michigan, so I don't think it's going to take too long. So if they do show up, we will definitely be looking at those on one of the shows next week. So I will end up bumping something. If it's, Fantasy Age or say maybe Fate Forge, something like that, because I know a lot of folks are very curious about those starter sets. And I will actually feature both of them because they're the same. It's just mechanically they're different. The One Ring is its own system, and the Lord of the Rings role-playing uses 5e mechanics. All right. So that is it for tonight's show. If you were watching live, thank you very much. If you watched live and took part in chat, bigger thank you, because not only are you keeping me company, you're also keeping each other company too. But of course, I know a lot of folks, they don't have an opportunity to watch live. Doesn't matter if you're watching live or on Memorex. Thank you for taking time out of your busy life to watch any of the over 2,300 videos here on the Gaming Gang channel. I really do appreciate it a whole hell of a lot. So if you liked the video, by all means, give it a quick thumbs up. Subscribe to the Gaming Gang channel if you haven't. And if you do subscribe, don't forget, ring that bell, because it'll not only let you know when the Dispatch streams live, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday evenings at 7 p.m. Central. It'll also inform you when my live stream. I got something caught in my throat for a second. I swallowed wrong, and all of a sudden I'm like, can I get through this? Can I get through this without? No, I had to take a sip. Anyway, it'll not only let you know when the Dispatch streams live, it'll also inform you when I share other videos, such as my recent review of Coriolis, the Great Dark core rulebook from Free League Publishing. Boy, we're talking about Free League Publishing a lot. Everybody enjoy the rest of your morning, afternoon, evening, whatever time of day it is in your neck of the woods. Have a great rest of the week and weekend. I will be back on Tuesday. Once again, I'm Jeff McAleer. And until I see you next time, I certainly hope all of you get to enjoy plenty of great gaming with your gang.